Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about the wedding that is going on between Windows and Snapdragon, Microsoft and Snapdragon. So let's dive deep into it. So let this be very clear, I'm not talking about the performance and all that jazz because again, there are many good reviewers who have covered it extensively. I'm talking about what's happening on the meta layer. What is going on here? So you have to understand, at this point in time, Windows laptops experience is just bad, like flat out bad. Now you may say, oh, because they are cheaper hardware. While that is true to some extent, but you have to understand, Microsoft laptops, basically Windows puppies, yeah, they come into expensive costs also. For example, if you go into Dell Latitude laptops, MacBooks will start to look free. That's how expensive those things are. And be mindful, these sort of workstation also exist in Lenovo, HP, all of that. So there are ecosystem, whole ecology of hardware that are ludicrously expensive, sold and maintained by very trained technicians, so to say, and they still do not have good experience. They still do not. And now be mindful, these are ludicrously expensive. If they do not have good experience, what is the probability of you having anything good? Answer is zero. Like, it's so bad that Microsoft so far still has not managed to figure out how to actually put laptops in sleep. Meaning, if you go like this on a laptop, Apple laptops are like, I got this. This is a hardware signal, the end. I do not care. Let me go to sleep, the end. Windows is like, are we sure that we're gonna go to sleep? Like, it goes to sleep for a few seconds. Then it's like, what if I want to update the email? It's like, I can only read the email when you open it. If it's not open, don't waste the energy. So, but Microsoft is not maintained properly. You close it, battery still drains. So you could literally have a scenario where Windows laptops could literally drain itself in a week, while MacBook could easily last month. So that creates a very serious issue, and it's not about cost. Let that be very crystal clear. You can spend bonkers amount of money and you will still not get good experience. I'm not talking about performance. There is no discussion about performance. Windows has performance. That's why people use it. It's just that it does not have the experience where it's like a polish, so to say. And another aspect, Windows in recent years have been becoming really painful to use, meaning it's a meme at this point in time. And again, you really do not want to have a scenario where, like, that's a meme that is like played on into a TV show, then it actually happens in real life, then people are like, hey, who is here, who is switching to Linux? That's not a good thing. So it's worse and worse. Everybody is hating it because there is no genuine alternate. We are not jumping. But again, it's like, it's very close. Like, you are pushing so close that people would jump the ship. And nowadays there are options. People can jump from basically Windows to Mac or to Chrome OS, which again, back in the days, it was not a big thing. Now it is. So you see, there is like far more people, and you are creating experience that is so bad that people are like just barely holding on. It's like done. So that's an issue, and this is an issue that is known above class. Basically, C class executives know about this. Your chief financial operation, chief executive officer, all of them know this. And Microsoft still is a paying product, meaning Microsoft Windows makes money. So you cannot just like, who cares? It makes money. You care. So that's there. Now, this is a reality. This has been going on from 2010. However, Apple made a big jump. This, what we call quantum leap or paradigm shift, if you will. Now, Apple can be far more efficient compared to Windows, not because of the hardware. They could be far more efficient even on x86, even on the same silicon compared to Windows, simply because they are vertically integrated, meaning they control the whole supply chain. Now, what is the next stage they could have taken? They control the silicon also, meaning instead of taking a phone, talking to Motorola or talking to IBM or talking to Intel, they're like, what if we don't talk to anyone? Actually, they still have to talk to ARM Holding, but ARM Holding gives them just the core design. They make this puppy. So everything becomes vertically integrated. And what this puppy did, showed to the world, was like, whoa. And Apple is really good at one thing: polish. Like, they actually spend time in polishing. Like, really, like somebody sits down, it's like, let me figure things out, let me plan things out, and it does show. So fundamentally speaking, this M1 was not like whoa. M1 was more like, whoa, they're going places. M3 is like, okay, they are reaching places. M5 would be like, if we do not apply brakes right now and do not fix our stuff, we will not have market left. And it's a paid market. You cannot just poof it. Again, you can poof it, but it's your loss. So that creates a serious issue. These are things that are happening on the C executive class. So let's get some historical context. Why Apple is so good? Well, Apple has no software legacy to support, meaning if you are coming from the old days, as in before 2006, when they were relying on PowerPC, be mindful, PowerPCs were expensive, powerful, and they were dual supplier, meaning they could switch from Motorola and IBM. If I'm not mistaken, these were the two suppliers, and they were not happy with it, and they just jumped. Now here's the deal. What if you bought PowerPC in 2006? Be mindful, they did not, stopped selling it. They were still selling it. They were still clearing stocks. You bought it. What about the support? Yeah, there is no support. You could literally buy a workstation, a high-end, expensive, multi-$1,000 back in that day, and Apple is like, lol, you should have bought the Intel one. Like, there is no software legacy support. So, and they have done this 2 times at this point. So they had PowerPC, they jumped from PowerPC to Intel, then they jumped from Intel to ARM. Now, every time they made the jump, the last legacy were just compromised. It's like done, bye, the end. They do not do that. Now, why they are so successful if they are just abandoning everything? Well, the second jump, basically jumping from PowerPC to Intel was not smooth. It did cause a lot of harm, lot of pain, lot of bankruptcy. But Intel to Apple Silicon, that jump was far more smoother. Be mindful, it's not that long ago, 2007, not that long ago. So they had like a lot of learning from that. So Rosetta was like Mark II variant, so to say. So they figured out how they can make the process smoother. And they never give you second option, meaning you cannot fall back. You have to make it work. So it's like do or die situation. So all the developers were forced, like when you hear people talking about like walled garden, that's what they are talking about. They can force you to do things. You have no other choice. So there is no second option, meaning you cannot fall back. So if you do not get your application running well on Apple Silicon, buy. They do not care. They will just like buy. Oh, your game does not run? Buy. They will not give a damn about it. So these two conditions apply. Like first, they did plan it better. Second, they do not give you a second option that forces it to be fixed. Like it's like exponential, like putting pew pew to someone's head and like get it done. So that's there. So they only give you 3 options. Option number 1, run natively. Okay, like rewrite your code base, and if it's done correctly, if you have properly maintained developers, it can be done. Repository, properly maintained repository, properly followed, like follow through and all that, it can be done. And if you cannot do that, trust emulation, figure that part out. If you cannot do that, you won't run. The end. There is no discussion here. It's like you won't run, go home. So this brutality does give them some polish, because again, they are letting all the past go. Now you may be like, okay, that means it's a superior system. No, it's not. A recent event that just happened does show one thing. Microsoft is the front end king, meaning if you ever go behind the curtain, what's happening behind the curtain, it's all Linux, right? So we know, like you go into NASA server, what's running it? Linux. You go into bank servers, what's running it? Linux. You go to everything Linux. But here's what is in the front end. You may think it could be a few things. Now it's Windows, the end, start, the end. There is nothing else. Like I worked as a game artist, and you may be like, okay, movie artists, they will be all Macs and all that. Nope. In the starting, like maybe you will go into their studios and like, receptionist will have Apples and all that. But the moment you go to the dark alley, the grunt work, basically where people are doing, it's all HP, it's all Dell. You go to Unreal Engine, you may have a receptionist which has Mac and all that, but go behind the scene is like all x86, all Windows. And again, airports are running on Windows. And meanwhile, the only airlines that did not went down, they are still running on Windows 3.1. So anybody who's like, oh, Apple is so, like, there is a penalty to it. Like if you keep pissing off your people who bought high-end system, they're like, yeah, bro. And be mindful, Microsoft sells to people who have deep pockets, like hospitals, corporations, army. So these sort of people you do not want to piss off. So Microsoft is very thorough with their legacy. Like this idea that you can have like Vista, an old application will just run. Like I have an application that somebody built long ago and it's still running. That's not viable. Like you could not go from, hey, I have an application that was made in 2006. I have used software older than this. Heck, video games older than this. And you cannot just like, hey, I'm going to run it on Apple Silicon. Lol. Even the emulation only goes back to Intel. It does not go back to PowerPC. So Microsoft is like, I got you, fam. So that fundamentally, the fact that they are creating a continuous lineage from 90s, their backwards compatibility is god level. Like there is no discussion. You're like, oh, Apple developers are so high level. Put them in the shoes of Microsoft and ask them to have a lineage. Yeah, most of them will leave this world. That part is very underappreciated, how horsepower intensive that is. And you're like, you should let it go. They can't. They legally can't. Like, that's why XP support was just terminated few years ago. Windows 7 will be terminated recently. So you see that the fact that they are keeping everything intact and switching from 7 to 11 won't be that painful. So they have to keep the past intact and support x86. Now this also translates to their processor also. While everything so far is built on x86, if they jump into ARM, they cannot abandon x86. They, by law, they have to follow it. So that also translates to they are developing ARM, they are developing x86, both at the same time. Not just like, okay, we have this, we're gonna keep running it for a few years and then everything M1, M2, M3, M4, M Pro, M Hulululu. So that can't be done. So this is the history of it. So it's not as easy and black and white as you might think. Now let's understand the role of Qualcomm here. Now Qualcomm, people who work in there, they know Qualcomm as a very risk averse company, meaning they're very thorough with their judgment, almost like Japanese, where they're like, let's be thorough about this. Let's not rush into it. So if they are jumping into something, they are seeing something serious money. And yes, if you are Microsoft and you actually make a Microsoft laptop that is good, or you are the person responsible for the SoC that goes into it, money, boatload of money. So there is money there, and it's a long-term gamble. It's not something that, oh, we start today, 5 years from now we're going to have the result. No, this is a 10 to 15 year project. So fundamentally speaking, it's a big gamble from Snapdragon's point of view, and Snapdragon has enough faith in the project that they are actually risking it. Another aspect is why Microsoft wants to, like, okay, that's why marriage is happening from here to here. Why here to here? This here to here is happening because a lot of C-class executives believe that going from x86 to ARM gives us a clean set, which technically is true. There's like, if people are like, hey, I want to run my my ancient software-defined radio from 1990s software, they're like, okay, use x86. If like for new things, ARM completely new, so everything is fresh. So you no longer even have to support SATA. You could be like, okay, everything from this point onward will only support NVMe SSD, no BS. So that would be awesome. That's what they are expecting. But again, I'll explain further why that's not exactly is the problem. So Microsoft is wishing for a clean set, where it's like, throw away everything, give us a clean set, and with all the horsepower, all the might we have, we can get something awesome done. Now, this has two tiers of players in. Player number one is basically these puppies, Snapdragon and Microsoft. They have to make proper love to each other. Failure to do so will doom the project. Another layer is developers and users, because at the end, users are paying. At the end, developers are the reason why users are paying. So all of them have to, basically they have to make love together properly. If that's not done, basically the first layer must be absolute. There is no discussion, there is no quorum about it. It has to be a smooth selling. Only then the developers can work. Only then, if there is a good flow of data from users to developers to the corporations, only then this will work out. However, that what should have happened, that did happen with Apple jump from Intel to ARM systems. Yeah, here they pooped the bed. So developers do not know who to talk to. Meaning, let's say you have Arduino GPU. What happens in normal x86 environment? You build a game engine, you render it, and it's like, if you try to do one effect, it glitches. Okay, you trace it down. You're like, okay, NVIDIA driver is pooping it. Okay, you call up NVIDIA, it's like, bro, I have this issue. What can we do? They're gonna have figured things out. And again, same happens with Windows. You can narrow it down whether it's a Windows breaking the system or it's a NVIDIA breaking it. And you can have a call. Like there is a pipeline to it. It's a slowly evolved pipeline over the decades. So there is a whole pipeline to in the works, so to say, where EA can figure out, oh, this is happening, you call to this person, and this is the liaison to that company, so we can have a pipeline, what's happening, how to solve it. Yeah, that's not there. Meaning, if your graphics engine is breaking because of there is a driver issue, both party will say, one will say, hey, call up Microsoft, another will say, call up Qualcomm. Nobody knows who to call up to. And that would be just bad. But there is something, are you serious? This actually happened in 2024, is that developer kits are behind schedule. It's not reached to public. Now, like, didn't Microsoft had a developer kit before? Yeah, they abandoned that design. That topology is not the same topology here. Topology changed and developer kit was not sold to the developers. Like basically at this point in time, they should have delayed the launch to, let's say, 1 January 2025. And it's like, okay, developers, here's your system. That's why Adobe, even though they claimed they're going to have a launch, they postponed the launch. It's like, wait, we think it will work. We emulated it work. And the moment we run in real hardware or bare metal, it crashed. We are okay taking away the support, because again, Adobe is a paid customer. So if I pay for a software and the software keeps crashing, that's a very bad reputation for Adobe. Adobe is like, nope, I don't care. It's like, it's not compatible. So that is a very bad reason. And I've linked a video of basically level 1 Weldon's tech. He's very fine-tuned on what's happening on the developer level. Basically, they pooped the bed. They do not have clear authority in between themselves, where it's like Microsoft, I got you fam. It's not like Snapdragon, I got you fam. Like everybody's like, who do we go to? What's the procedure here? They do not know. And again, it should not be allowed that without developer kit you have like the whole launch. And be mindful, as a game artist, we do know this system, meaning if you see Xbox 360, it does not mean Xbox 360. Generally, at least 1 to 2 years ago, there's will be a developer kit made, and then it will be sold, and then developers develop on it. I have worked on Xbox One's developer kit and PlayStation 4 developer kits, and again, you work on it, you run your game, everything's fine, and then you launch it. You never ever, it's like, here's a console, developer it is coming 2 years later. It's like, yeah, that system will collapse. PS Vita. So fundamentally, this was a very botched launch. This should not have happened. Again, I do not know who is exactly responsible for this mess up, Microsoft or Qualcomm, but it did happen. Now, what is the result of all this mess, so to say? Well, it's not an Apple M1 event. Let that be very clear. It's not like, whoa. It's not that event that happened. However, it's better than fast few attempts. And there lies the tragedy. They had tried it. In 2012, they tried with Windows RT. Now, I'm like, very few of you would know that, because again, they did try it. And if they had continuously working from 2012, at this point, they might have had a functional Android alternative. But they would have required to continuously work. They did not. They just abandoned it. And again, in Windows 10, again, they tried with 2017, Surface and all that. Again, they abandoned it again. So it's better than those 2 attempts. Actually, there are far more attempts than that, but you get the point. It's better than those things. And they are doing one thing right. They're forcefully solving one of the problems. It's like, if people do not have the laptops, why would developers develop for it? They're like, what if we force laptop? Like, like billions of marketing dollars going, force it, like, you will get better battery life. You will get better battery life. Everybody will talk about it. Every laptop manufacturer will make it. So they are pushing that. That part is pushing a lot. Now, again, that push is awesome, but it should have happened after the dev kits would have. Like, this push is compulsory for dev kits. Like, everybody should have the developer kit, and that's how PlayStation 2 was so successful. PlayStation 1, sorry. They had the developer kit in everyone's hand. They really sorted that part out. So if the developer kit is in everyone's, then only people can, like, and if they create a forum network, if they can be like, hey, you have this issue, call us up. We're gonna ring it up to the top. Then we're gonna see, has anybody already dealt with that issue? We can, like, you have to have some people whose paid job it is to, prune the branches, so to say, to sort issues. That should have happened, but at least they are pushing the marketing part. So that's why all manufacturers are creating tier 1 series system. And how Microsoft is asking them is very simple. Make ARM laptops. Like, why? I sell x86. Awesome. But here's the deal. Would you like to have bargaining rights in basically x86? Absolutely, right. So you go to right now, let's say ARM. ARM gives you price, let's say X, and then you go to Intel. Intel is like X plus 30%, or AMD is like X plus 50%. Now, again, if older system, you had no other option. You had to choose Intel or you had to choose AMD. Now you have a third player. So now both of them have to keep the price low, where there's like, hey, let's not abandon the boat. We're gonna adjust the pricing. You always want that. You always want dual supplier. So having 2 tangible options where you have x86 and ARM, that's a tangible option where all the companies, be it Samsung, be it Asus, be it Gigabyte, be it MSI, all of them have advantage. If they actually push it through and they end up with 2 viable candidates, the pricing becomes very good for them. Basically, now Qualcomm and Intel and AMD have to cross price compete, which is really good for everybody, basically. So there is a reason for why laptop manufacturers are, rather than like in Windows RT, 1 or 2 side models, like 5 new models, 15 new categories, all pro lineups. So that's why it's happening. So they are brute forcingly solving the chicken and egg scenario. It's like without the dev kit, basically without enough hardware in the wild, nobody would develop the apps for it. Because again, Adobe can simply look at it as like, hey, less than 5 people use our paid software on this. It's not worth it to like, okay, 5 million people have this. Let's polish it. So they're solving that chicken and egg scenario. That is a good part. Now it's great for low load task, meaning at this point in time, if you buy this, this is the summary of it. If you're doing low load task, meaning you're just watching videos, doing browser stuff, lightweight stuff, you do not have to worry. If you're doing heavyweight stuff, wait for it. Meaning if you're doing Blender and all that, while they can work and they do work, they're not there yet where you can just close your eye and forget about it. And again, you have to check your whole pipeline. Basically, I use Blender for this, I use Marmoset for this, I use ZBrush for this, I use this for this. You have to check the whole supply line and then be sure that all of them have native versions or at least tested version of it, meaning the emulation layer is tested. Without that, I would say stay away from them. As of now, they still need a bit more cooking. But if they keep forcing it, I do expect that to be getting expedited. Because again, there are two rich players working behind it. So it could get, solved. But it's not this. It's not this event. Not yet. Now, there is a paradox to it. Now, paradox is very simple. You have to understand who is the CEO of the company. Why NVIDIA is so efficient with so little people and they're like $3 trillion, baby. So that happens if you have one CEO. But if you have third generation CEOs, meaning Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, the third generation people, again, it's not evil, it's not bad kind of thing, but it is a outcome of it. Meaning if you go through this cycle, there would be that outcome is that passion dies and direction gets lost. And yes, that is happening to Apple also. People who have been using Apple from 2005 kind of era, there was a polish to it. Again, Steve Jobs had a feel to it, right? You knew you were buying Steve Jobs. Now you do not know what you're buying. You could sometimes it would be like, dude, it looks like a cheap Android. Dude, it looks like an iPhone. It's like that essence is lost, so to say. And again, it happens with car companies, everything actually. That's like, it's almost one of those things that you can easily figure out. Company may become more profitable, may become more rich, but it will lose the essence. That's almost like you can't argue about it. So passion and direction goes up. Now, why does that happen? Well, here's the deal. This person will tell this person, it's like, please make sure these things happen. This person will tell this person, please make sure these things happen. Of course, everybody is carrying forward that essence. There will be plaques written about it. But here's the issue. What is their job? What is this job? This job is line go up. That's their job. They have no job. Like this guy, I built an empire. This guy's job is I make the line go up. Now, problem is this is absurd. This is ironically the top 1%er people, they actually don't own anything because they do not have stakes in anything. Everything is just like, I buy, I sell, I buy, I sell. While original creators were there like, dude, this is mine. The more richer the Microsoft will get, the more richer I will be. So he could play the long game. Like Jensen Huang, he's playing some long game. Like he puts so much effort into CUDA cores, the software development line and SDKs and all that jazz. That's printing money today. You're like, oh, AI. It's like, why do you think people use that hardware? Because the pipeline was created properly beforehand. So people are like, hey, I can use CUDA to use these CUDA cores very efficiently. Awesome. Let me use it. Oh, it actually works. The software is there. Then they used it and they're like, more hardware. The more hardware was sold, more other people were like, hey, let's learn how to use CUDA. So because again, those are supercomputers at this point in time. So more use that. Now it's a self-fulfilling cycle. So you have to understand this line go up. Many companies have come and disappeared because of the reason. Line cannot go up every year. It's just no. Law of physics is very clear. Now, like line does go up. Yeah, 30 to 50 years maximum. Like if you are old enough, you must have seen the panic people had about oil companies in 90s. It's like the big oil has control over everything. Now we do not even give a damn about. Now it's like Meta has control over you, which is factually true. But again, the crown switches. The crown is not bound to anyone. There's switches. It's like, it's one of those things. Like, why do you think we have Bing search operations going on in our start window? Why? The line go up, Bing is selling more. How do you do that? Well, nobody is using Bing, but what if you forced millions of people who are using Microsoft? It's like, okay, let's have batch one, now push it to so many people. Now everybody, every time opens the start menu, it sends a ping. The ping shows to the ad seller, is like, see, so many people are using Bing, and the stock market, see, we have increased our penetration, market penetration. And again, it's a genuine system, but it's not actually doing anything. It's just forcing down our throats. And then they're like, okay, now we have reached 5 million. Now push it to 10 million more. So line go up. Then push it to 20 million more. Line go up. But again, you see the absurdity. Not only you are degrading the product, you will reach a point where it's like, now what? So And again, this is not the 90s anymore. People can genuinely jump to Google systems or Mac systems and just forget about it, or to their custom Linux system. That's like, I'm done. So that's a very serious issue. The line must go up is a very bad place to be. And ARM is not the Windows, basically Windows fault. Windows fault is basically Microsoft fault is they do not polish it anymore. Like for example, there are retired Microsoft engineers who are flat out telling that after Vista, there was a hardware floor in Microsoft Office headquarters where they had different hardware mixture with like Gigabyte, AMD, Asus, and all that. Like they had a hardware villa, so to say, where they were running the hardware. They threw it all away. It's like, so what about alpha testing? There is no alpha testing. Public is the alpha testing now. That's why so many corrupted, broken updates have been pushed recently. It's like there is no testing. They do not even genuinely test it. It's like, okay, we have some virtual simulations where we are virtually testing it. If it works, which again 99% time it will work. But the moment, again, if you had air-gapped physical hardware to test it, different hardware from different eras, you will easily see, hey, this is breaking. But they are not doing it. So issue is not with the hardware. It's the issue with the how Microsoft is handling it. Basically, the line must go up. It's basically the future must go down. That's what's happening. And another aspect is the gap between M1 versus what you can buy in Ryzen is not that much anymore. It was like, whoa, in the early days. Now it's like, So you can go from 10 to 12 hours to 18 hours of use time. It's not like, whoa, you have 18 hours and I have, because SD. The moment you exceed a certain threshold, people will stop caring about it. Because again, that's the reason why smartphones do not have 2 days battery life. You do not want a 2-day battery life. You always want 1-day battery life. Because again, at night you will put it in charge. So same goes with laptops also. You want it to do one specific stuff for long enough where nobody notices it. And again, it's not like everybody stop watching their system. If it feels good enough, it's good enough. And this device changed everything. Again, it's not a paradigm shift, but it is a big herald of things that to come, so to say. This was unimaginable a few years ago, where you could have x86, native x86 hardware, and you can run video games on it. That was just not possible. Like even on adapter power, it would have been so hot. Right now we have this, it's running, it's a normal thing. And this was not even the latest at the time of launch, because again, the software development kit for Steam company would have required at least a year, year to cook and refine. So 1 year ago. So the technology inside is already outdated. And be mindful, this was launched few years ago. So at this point in time, what can be done today with the latest and greatest of Ryzen system? It's horrifyingly close to M3. Not M1, not M2, M3. It's like, it's not like you are going from my laptop barely works to like, whoa, battery life. It's like, battery life is a bit better, to like, it could use some battery life. Which, mind you, there is an easy way of compensating for it. Is like, make it bigger. It's like, oh, everybody wants light. Yeah, give them bigger battery life. Most people will use it. And be mindful, all Android phones nowadays have 5,000 milliamp hour. Some even have 7,000. So you have to learn the hard way that x86, that power jump is no longer there. So 1 to 2 generation from now, 2024, you will reach Mac level. And the moment you want to do heavy crunching work, yeah, then x86 is like, bro, daddy's home. So at that point in time, the moment you need extra flops to actually render it, actually crunch some stuff, it's like, yeah, Mac does not last at that point. That's why it's not used everywhere. So there is a paradox here. It's like the economics incentive is not lined up. They're focusing on the wrong thing. And again, they need to know that it's Microsoft's job to like actually figure things out, actually polish the stuff, not just like line must go up because we are putting Bing everywhere. The line will go down. You have to plan properly for it. So this was my presentation on basically what's happening with this Qualcomm and Microsoft marriage. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.